Well, we were, what were we talking about?
I think it was real estate.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello, everyone. This is James Harper from the Real Estate Halftime Show. We're live here in our secret headquarters in Hendersonville, Tennessee, ready for our next episode with Cameron Tucker. She's here in the studio with us, going to tell us everything she knows about the Nashville market and much more. Stay tuned. Let's go.
It's time for the Real Estate Halftime Show. Sit back, relax, and listen to Nashville's premier inside scoop to real estate with the Mortgage Extraordinaire himself, James Harper.
All right, welcome back, listeners. Thank you for joining the Real Estate Halftime Show. We have in our studio today, as I said, in our secret headquarters in Hendersonville, Cameron Tucker with Parks. And am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
All
yes.
right. Welcome, Cameron Tucker.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about Cameron, how you got in the real estate business, where you came from, how you got here, and what really motivates you about being in real estate. Because I always say you just don't fall into being a realtor. You don't wake up one day and say, this is what I'm going to do in my life. Same with being a lender. I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be a mortgage lender. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, don't hate me. I went to school at the University of Alabama.
Oh.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. We don't hold, I'm from the north, so I don't hold that against you.
You don't understand that.
No,
yes.
no.
And then, so I'm married. I have 3 children, and I started out in the TV business. I sold air. So I was a sales.
You sold air.
Yes, I sold
like
advertising.
Airtime.
Yes, airtime.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to call it selling air.
Selling air.
So, and that was after our second child was born, and it was very tiring, exhausting, and it was a full-time job, 9 to 5. You'd have to be in the office at 9. Then you'd have to be out cold calling, and trying to sell air to people that you don't know was very difficult. So I ended up quitting because I just couldn't handle it anymore. I did pretty well at it. I mean, my boss wanted me to stay. And then after...
And what year was that?
Oh, gosh, that was probably 1997. And then after our daughter was born, my youngest one, our third child, I thought, I've just got to do something more. And if I can sell air, I can sell a house.
I was getting ready to say, if you can sell air, you can sell anything. That's some tough stuff.
So I took all my classes in Memphis and got pre-licensed in Memphis. And I was dual licensed in Memphis and Mississippi because we lived right across the border in South Haven, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And then worked for a great company while I was there. And then my husband got a job transfer here. And he worked for Channel 2. And I kept my business. I thought, I'm just going to do real estate in Hendersonville. And starting from scratch, which is exactly what you have to do, was very difficult because I didn't know anybody. I interviewed with a few companies, and I like the culture of where you're going to end up. If you feel like it's family, that's big for me. I like to work with nice people who aren't going to stab you in the back. Not that doesn't happen.
Yeah, as you roll your eyes. Yes.
Only once in a while.
Yeah.
No, but for the most part, I mean, it's been great. So I started there in 2006, and then the recession hit, and that was a lot of fun.
2008.
Sarcastic. And then I went to Gary Ashton. And I was with Gary for a little while, and I enjoyed that, and I learned a lot. And back then, his team only had about 10 or 12 people on it.
Right.
So it was very small. Mm-hmm. And then I decided I'm just going to go to law school. So I went to law school and worked at Keller Williams while I was doing that. And I only did 1 year of law school. That was very difficult because I still did real estate when I was doing law school, and I was out till 10:30 at night and studying all that.
So you finally jumped in full force when?
Mm-hmm. I'd say about a year after I stopped law school. And then things started rocking and rolling and getting better and better. And it was a very healthy market. So I was at KW for about 6 or 7 years, and then I left.
Yeah.
and I went to Parks, back to Parks.
Yeah.
And then I went to Platinum after that, and then back to Parks.
Back to Parks.
Yeah.
Well, good. So you mentioned something about you felt like there was this challenge of meeting people when you moved here. But selling air, you were already prepared, right? I mean, you were already prepared somewhat on how to really drum up a clientele base or a pipeline, or being able to get yourself out there. Because if you can go, for lack of better words, door to door selling air, how can you how it makes sense that you can go kind of door to door trying to figure out how to sell real estate. So any comparison there, what really did you get from that opportunity and kind of translated and transferred into real estate?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I love door knocking now as a real estate agent. And lots of people are like, oh no,
They dread it.
Never do it.
They dread
But
it.
I like meeting new people. And if I have a reason to go door knocking, like if someone's looking in a specific neighborhood, or if I just sold a house around them, I'll introduce myself. If it's sold for a really good price. I sold one here in Hendersonville last year, and over on Natchez Trace. And I had it listed at a certain price. It sold $62,000 over list price.
Nice.
So I went door knocking in that whole neighborhood, let them know that it went over by that much, and the neighbors were shocked. So I've only gotten bit by a dog once. That was a treat. That was in Ballantrae. And then I've only had maybe one or two rude people. But I think women have better luck only because
there's no
they're
doubt.
not as scared. They know that we're not there to hold them up. I don't, I hope I don't look intimidating, standing on the front porch. And then immediately I tell them I'm a real estate agent, and here's why I'm knocking on your door, so they don't.
Well, now your face is going to be on social media, so if anybody sees Cameron come knocking on your door, you'll know what it's going to be about, right?
Please be nice.
We just want to talk about real estate.
That's right.
So, what's been one of the, I think you just maybe mentioned one, but what's been one of the coolest stories that have come from just knocking on somebody's door that maybe wasn't even related to real estate? Maybe it was some famous person you met, or or some connection into something bigger.
Well, excuse me, one of my biggest success stories, I was door knocking in just random door knocking. And I knocked on the door, and the sweetest older couple answered the door, and they're like, "Oh, come in. We want to show you our house." And they gave me a tour, and they were the nicest people. They didn't know me from Adam. They used me to sell their house and buy something else, because they needed something that would have, transitioned to an assisted living. And I've stayed friends with them over the year. The husband passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago. But I just love, making friends in the long run, and
Well, kind of like a customer for life, so to speak.
Correct.
Mentality,
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah.
So for the listeners out there today, what 3, 4, maybe even 5 things do they really need to know about what's going on in the market? If I'm a listener, what is a couple of things that they need to be thinking about if they're interested in buying, interested in selling, about the Nashville, Hendersonville, any of the suburbs of Nashville, about real estate? What's going on?
Well, what I'm seeing is we're low on inventory. So just keep that in mind. And if you see a house that you like and you're up against multiple offers, don't go in under asking.
Just not going to happen.
And I'm seeing escalation clauses again. Don't ever forego your inspection. At least get an inspection to make sure that you know what you're walking into. You can always check that box saying that you don't want to ask for repairs, and that'll make it a stronger offer, but don't ever waive the whole inspection, because too many things can go wrong. Too many hidden defects.
What about contingencies? How are those doing? Contingencies for listeners out there are when you are going in with an offer that you have to, it's contingent upon selling your primary home where you currently live so that you can buy the next one.
And I know a lot of you guys probably will have houses to sell first. It would make it stronger if that kind of contingency was not on there.
Sure.
Because a lot of times now we're looking at cash, and cash is king, and I've heard. But sometimes it just depends on the terms, too. If you have a good lender, like James.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Then you won't have a problem. But cash could come along with, some other contingencies, an appraisal contingency. Some people don't like that. You may have to forego that and then do what they call an appraisal gap. And that's when you agree to pay X amount of dollars over the agreed upon price, but not to exceed a certain price. So you still have a cap, but it still shows that you're willing to make it work in that respect. Inspection contingency is another one, and that's the one we talked about. I would just make it where you want to get an inspection, and then if the repairs are too big, like say there's a foundation issue or it needs a new roof, that'd be something that you might want to think twice about. I don't know, but it's just, because they're very costly. And that's, two of the biggies that people are fearful of, and the water heater. You got to make sure that's in good working order. But, other than that, if it's cosmetic.
So we could have an appraisal contingency. We could have a selling contingency on their current home. Mm-hmm. We could have an inspection contingency. Mm-hmm. And what's the fourth one?
Financial.
A financial contingency.
Yeah. If you have a loan, and sometimes you have to get a loan. People just don't have a choice. A lot of people don't have the cash to pay $500,000 for a house and then get the appraisal gap. So I get it. And most of my buyers are, they always get loans.
So it sounds like a lot, but really it's just getting connected with a good qualified agent like Cameron that can help talk you through these different contingencies, how that may or may not affect you on a particular property, because every property is different.
Correct.
And every offer is different. Every scenario is different. And, so Cameron can help put this little flow chart together on what's the best path for you, right?
And that's why buyer's agents are so important. And when you list a house, please include your buyer's agent.
Okay. So one of the things that I always share with buyers that have never purchased before, and to a lot of listeners out there, so get a good realtor, a realtor that's going to fit your personality type, your geography, knows the areas. Cameron can certainly give you that opportunity to really understand the market that you're looking in. And how far out do you go?
I go all over Nashville. I'll go Springfield. I'll go to Arrington. Then I go
all over Middle Tennessee,
Ashland City, Lebanon.
Yeah.
Northeast, west, and south, wherever I need to.
So I think the big message we have here is a couple things. We basically have patience when you're out there looking if you're a buyer. Let's pay attention to the potential contingencies that may affect your offer to help put you to the front of the line. Rates might be a little high, but that's okay. That's kind of where I come into the game, or the lender that you may already be pre-qualified with, because you can always refinance that rate later, but get your equity position today. If you can get a decent deal on a home today, which means even if it's a full price offer, that's going to be a lot better than if rates do drop and we have multiple offers, people paying over asking price. Now that $500,000 house may cost you $530 or $525, $540, whatever that might be. Now that house has just cost you more by waiting that you could get today, even though it's a higher rate, and refinance it later.
Yeah, as we always used to say, date the rate, marry the house.
Yes.
But it feels more like it's an engagement right now. 'Cause they need to go down.
That's right.
We're trying. But, having a good experienced buyer's agent to help you through all of these processes, I tell everybody, there's so many wheels that turn behind the scenes. It's not just us throwing in you in the car and throwing you a sheet of paper and unlocking a door. We do so much negotiating for you on the side. We do all the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that you're getting a good deal. We watch out for you doing the home inspections. And when I look at the home inspection, I have to sort through everything and make sure you're not missing anything to ask for. So, there's so much that your buyer's agent
I think one
will
thing
do.
you need to add to that too is there's so much access on the internet on looking at homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the homes may already be expired, or not expired, but sold. New listings might not even be on there. So explain that a little bit more as to why surfing the internet might not be the true inventory.
Well, with the big Z, which we won't mention, I always tell people, it's a good place to start and just kind of get a feel for what's going on. If you have to do that, I get most of all my buyers. I set them up on our auto updates, and I tell them that's where the buck stops is with our MLS. You'll get the first notification of anything new or reduced on the market, depending on what you're looking for. Now, if you want to revise something, like say your square footage or something, you've got to compromise. And I tell everybody, when you're first starting to look, you're not going to find the perfect house. It may check 5 out of 6 boxes. And, you're going to have to understand that something can be fixed. Where the house is located cannot be fixed. But inside, you can always, fix that. But the other sites, besides our MLS, I just call them inaccurate because they don't update like they should. They are, sometimes you'll find a house that says it's active that closed last year. You just don't know what you're getting into. But a lot of people do use it as a starter point, and that's fine. It's free access, whatever. I put rentals on there just because they're rentals. But, they don't know, the comps are inaccurate. If you try to do comps on there, just always call a buyer's agent, a licensed agent, and they will take care of all of that for you. Your property condition disclosures are online through the MLS. You can't find them on those other sites. So there's so much more information that you can get from your buyer's agent because you need to find out so much more besides the square footage.
Well, how do they get a hold of you? If I want to buy a home, how do they get a hold of you, Cameron Tucker?
Well, you can call me anytime, day or night. I have my phone with me, which drives my family crazy. But yeah, here it is. 615-275-5543. And we just combined forces because Parks bought Pilkerton and Coldwell Banker and Village. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now we're up here on Main Street, 530 West Main Street.
In Hendersonville.
Right, across from Imperial. And we have a big office now, so we're in with what used to be Coldwell Banker.
And any social media connections? How do they get a hold of you on social media? Or can they follow you on Instagram or Facebook or anything of that nature?
Yes, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I have a business page and a personal page on Facebook. And on Instagram, it's Cameron Tucker Homes.
Cameron Tucker Homes.
Yes.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
See how easy this was?
Yeah.
I mean, it was so easy.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining the first season of the Real Estate Halftime Show.
Okay, good.
And we love having you come in. We love having you just share your story, your experience. Love to have you come in again whenever you want to talk about something new and fresh and be able to educate the Nashville market. That's what we're here for. So thank you for coming on the Real Estate Halftime Show.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
All right.